Thank you for auditing the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who's going to be talking about the new EP, four-song album-et by boygeinus called The Rest. And speaking of rest, in my house we've had to sort of put a hold a little bit on boygeinus music being played. Just listen, let me explain. You see, if you don't know, I have a baby. It's like a little over a year. I have a college kid who's in college and a kid who's in high school. And the kid who's in high school is a boygeinus superfan. Now, this is a good thing, right? boygeinus is a great band. It's actually been a long development over the years. If you've been following this channel, you'll know that she used to be really into My Chemical Romance. And so it used to be you'd walk by her room and it'd be some of the My Chemical Romance vinyl that I bought her. And then she got really into Billie Eilish and Melanie Martinez. And then eventually boygeinus has replaced them all. And not just boygeinus, but the individual singers themselves, you know. And it's great. As a father, I couldn't hope for more, you know, like three great, conscientious, strong, intelligent, funny, personable women who are making music that is very similar to the kind of music that hopefully my daughter might be able to make someday. But that said, oh my God. It's like all we hear in the house. It's like the hum of air conditioning is like the boygeinus album. But that being said, it's all good. You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm really complaining because it is a little bit tougher, you know, when it was Panic at the Disco playing out the door as opposed to boygeinus. But that's sort of the context that I come to with this album, as I really enjoyed their full length album from last year. And I am just surrounded by their music at all times. So what do we think of the rest? First of all, I recognize that my hair looks bad. You tell me in the comments. I don't know what to do with it. It's something about the light. So feel free to tell me that in the comments if you want me to feel bad. You know, when I think of the rest, you know, it's intentionally a play on words, right? So on one way it means repose, you know, relaxation. Another side it means like things that remain. As a matter of fact, in French, les restes is what you say for leftovers, like food leftovers. And that's, you know, it's pretty typical of their work, you know, where they're very self-effacing. You know, that's part of their greatness is their self-effacing nature. You know, in the British parlance, they take the piss out of themselves. So, you know, calling the album The Record and even calling themselves boygeinus, they seem to always sort of try to take the wind out of their own sails. Now, I'm not going to go too far and say this is a brilliant part of their anti-patriarchal stance, because in general, artists who behave in a sort of following the patriarchal archetypes try to be grand and always pumping themselves up to seem bigger than they are, whereas boygeinus seems to be constantly deflating themselves so that you can better see their grandeur. Does that make sense? Like, they spend so much time acting like, oh, we're just doing this thing, that you can spend more time going, wow. You know, it's like I always say to my kids, don't tell people how great you are, show them, and then they'll tell you. That's really what boygeinus is. So the title, The Rest, is sort of like trying to lower our expectations. But I've come up with a new title. You've probably seen it in the thumbnail. I'm probably going to name my thumbnail it. I don't know yet, but probably will. The Cosmic Bummer. That's what these four songs, if we had to really group all four of these songs together, there's a very strong theme all the way throughout of just the coldness of space, the heat of Earth, the weight of gravity, cosmic contemplations on our insignificance in this vast universe. At the same time, there's a long consideration and multiple considerations of the nature of mortality and of life and death itself, the value of life. Sort of, it all kind of goes together in a sort of Carl Sagan-like meditation that, you know, when you think about how big the universe is, the proper answer is not to say, so we're meaningless. It's more to say like, wow, so we should enjoy our little meaningless time here. You know, I am a French professor, but I wish I were a physics professor. This album feels like it's great for anyone who teaches astronomy, anyone who teaches physics. It seems to be very much in that theme. It's only, you know, 12 minutes. It's only 4 songs. I don't know how long this video is. The video will probably end up being almost as long as the album, but you know, that's how I do it. But it's a testament to the fact that it's a very dense and very good album. My daughter immediately asked, can we go to the record archive and buy the album? I'm like, well, I don't know if it's going to be there. It's hard to find the time. She already tried to get me to go to a record listening party I'm like, I love you, dear, but I'm not going to drive like 2 hours to Syracuse to listen to 10 minutes of music and then drive home on a school night. I'm a good dad, but there are limits, you know. But I was sort of thinking before it came out, like, well, why would you buy this album? You know, it's only 10 minutes long, 12 minutes long. I think it is going to be worth buying because the songs are so dense and they're so rich and they're so connected. I also enjoy the cover, how it's just the full body silhouette of them against the ocean, presumably the same one that was featured in the other photographs with their hands up together. It's nice. It's a nice sort of visual connection. You know, it feels like DLC in modern parlance. That's when you buy a video game and then they give you can buy extra video game, you know. So you buy a video game for $60 from a so-called AAA video game. You buy it for $60 and then it hits you up for $20 to get like another couple levels. This really is that. It feels very cohesive. It feels like it is a nice little cosmic campaign. Okay, it's the cosmic campaign added on for your character to go through. But let's go through the album. A little bit here. I'll just start off with the first track. It's only 4 tracks. We don't need a stamp here. First track is Black Hole. Great pulsing piano notes. Doom, 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 doom. I swear this has got to be... I think this again is influenced by Olivia Rodrigo and Driver's License. I know that she wasn't the first person to have a synthesizer, keyboard sound going boom, 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 boom to start, but it always makes me think of that. A very sweet voice here, joined by piano and guitar and bass and drums. It just builds all the way throughout. The nice thing is this first verse builds up until we get to this moment where there's this like piano that sounds kind of junky, like a little tacked, almost like a barroom piano that plays this beautiful rising melody. And it's all about, you know, like sitting out on the porch and seeing stars. And they seem like a very LA band to me. And a lot of when you live in LA, you just sort of complain about living in LA. That's like the thing that you do. So it feels to me like, you know, they're maybe, I don't know, they're out in Big Bear or Joshua Tree or something, somewhere out in the country, and they see the stars, and then it sort of goes from the micro of them being I think it's Baker singing here on the porch. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure you will. I'm sure my daughter will. Dad, how could you say? Yeah, where's Baker? I'm pretty sure it's Baker. That we start from the micro on the porch and then it just gets super cosmic and ends up being about a black hole in some article that they read. It's not, I mean, I don't think it's on purpose, but it does remind me of A Day in the Life by the Beatles. You know, I read the news today, oh boy, just the idea that you can take a headline and then expand that out into something beautiful, except in this, it's that there's like a black hole and it turns out the black hole was creating. Oh man. I thought black holes only destroyed, but they can also create. The poetic possibilities are endless. Just these great drums going through. Then during the second verse, which is Dacus and Bridgers working together here, like the hi-hat starts going double for part of it. Just lots of great, like, just emphasis. A lot of the emotions being carried by the drums here. And they just sing sort of stream of consciousness. And I don't know. I can't tell if they're just sort of talking or if this is following on with that idea with things that you think that are destructive but are actually creative. I'm not sure. White teeth, black light, white tea, brown eyes, bad boy, big fight. You're a good guy, good day, good night, good talk, goodbye. It's out of your hands, have a safe flight. My thoughts, all noise, fake smile, decoys. Sometimes I need to hear your voice. I think that's what it is. You know, I think it's about this relationship that's kind of destructive and creative at the same time. What's nice is that for a little album that's just their little leftovers, just oh whatever, oh who cares, it leads perfectly into the next song. This doesn't feel like this is scraps. It really doesn't. It feels like it's its own little thing. Because it leads with these weird drums and odd sounds into the next song, Afraid of Heights, which sort of is the outlier for the album. This is the least cosmic of the albums. It's still very tied into mortality, which is tied into the themes of the cosmic themes. But this feels the most like a solo project. This feels the most just like a Lucy Dacus song because the lyrics are so good. Anyways, they're just so good. I'll get into them. You know, nice, this feedback leads into this sweet guitar, it's kind of like a chorus effect, lots of pedal steel in the background. I can't wait to play more country music for my daughter, who says that she doesn't like country music. But Lucy Dacus is a poison pill for anybody who thinks they don't like country music. Because what Lucy Dacus does really well is what a lot of great country musicians do well, which is just get a lot of emotion out of guitar and pedal steel and great lyrics. It's very simple. Again, nice plodding drums to create a lot of emotion, just a sort of four on the floor bass drum here. There's no repeated words on the entire album. This is the only song that has something that you could call a chorus, being a second part, but that's part of what makes this interesting, is there's like no hooks anywhere. It just kind of fades out. And then it has lyrics, which I actually sent to my wife. So, I don't talk a lot about my wife on the channel, the Dr. and Mrs. She's a pretty private person, but she's Yugoslavian, so she grew up in wartime, and her attitude towards life and death is pretty serious, and I would say appropriate. Okay, she doesn't laugh at human suffering, not even if it's like someone just getting hit in the testicles with a football, and she really does not like it when people treat safety like a joke, or the people who treat risks as something noble. Like, there's nothing noble in being risky. Do you understand? That's what this whole verse is about. I never rode a motorcycle. I never smoked a cigarette. I want to live a vibrant life, but I want to die a boring death. I know I was a disappointment. I know you wanted me to take a risk. Not everybody gets the chance to live a life that isn't dangerous. This line is a beautiful summation of this thought, because I grew up in America in the 90s, where the thing that we were afraid of was aliens, okay? I've not known much risk in my life. I haven't known much danger in my life. So it makes sense that I might be attracted to risky behavior or to dangerous behavior out of pure boredom. But that is a privilege. Riding motorcycles, flying helicopters, doing drugs, going rock climbing, all those things that you do to make your life interesting, Do I need to tell you, right now? Do I need to tell you what's happening right now? Do you need to imagine what your life would be like if you were hiding in a hospital in Gaza because you think that you're safe and you're getting bombed anyways? And let's imagine you survive that and you somehow manage to survive another 10 years. And then someone tells you how cool it is to ride motorcycles because it's exciting. Not everybody gets the chance to live a life that isn't dangerous. Beautiful line, poetic, meaningful. And as somebody who has a daughter who is always nervous because I know how music affects people. I know how it can become a guidepost. You tend to do what your heroes do. This verse, if my daughter could take this verse and just live with it, have that sense of appreciation for safety, appreciation for comfort, appreciation for not danger, she would be better. She would be better off. She wouldn't be better. She'd be better off. The outro is all them singing together. And just whenever they sing together, it's so exciting and joyful. They're Voltron, They get together and you're just like, they get the sword. It's just so awesome. It's just super exciting. And it ends with them singing, "It hurts to hope the future will be better than before." Ouch. Hey, it's officially longer than the album itself. I did it. Voyager is the next song. It's probably pronounced Voyager. All three of them together for the most part here, no chorus. This is those led by Phoebe Bridgers, singing over acoustic guitar, almost a 50s chord progression. And just the whole song reminds me of the emptiness of space. That's how it feels to me. It's apparently a reference to Voyager 1, whose photograph inspired Carl Sagan to refer to the Earth as a pale blue dot. I will now say what Carl Sagan said in my best Carl Sagan impersonation. Billions. The Earth is a very small stage in a vast cosmic arena. Think of the rivers of blood spilled by all those generals and emperors so that in glory and triumph they could become the momentary masters of a fraction of a dot. There's perhaps no better demonstration of the folly of human conceits than to this distant image of our tiny world. To me it underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly with one another and to preserve and cherish the pale blue dot, the only home we've ever known. Impersonation got worse and worse as I went along. But that's the idea. This is what I'm talking about. It's cosmic bummer, but it's also cosmic life affirming. You know, yeah, we're so small. And what she says makes me feel like when I walk in the city, it makes me feel like I'm a man on the moon. Every step I took was so easy, but I never imagined a dot so pale or as blue. You took it from me, but I would have given it to you. A little bit more about sort of heartbreak in there, but really this whole general theme of the vastness of existence and the importance of our daily lives here. The album ends with Powers, and the Lucy Dacus album is like my favorite album of all of the things that everyone's made, but that might change. I love Julian Baker so much. Like the more I listen to the album, the more I'm forced to hear it as I walk by my daughter's room, and she puts it on in the car, and she talks about it, and she plays the songs in the basement. She might just be the one. I don't know. She's just so great. What I love about this is that, people talk about the 90s and grunge and stuff, and that's great. But one of my favorite things that gets lost is this kind of chord. So the chord is like fudgy. I call them fudgy chords, like you're just playing 2 or 3 notes, just the top notes of the chord. You're not playing the rest. You're not playing all 6 strings. You're just doing junk, 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 junk. Obviously, Kurt Cobain was a master of that, and so is Julian Baker. So many chords here. Plays all the chords, goes through them all, and sighs. Has this beautiful idea of this superhero story, and she doesn't know how she was there. Is she a failed university experiment? And just the beauty when she's supported by Bridgers and Dacus, again, that feeling of Ultron, that feeling of coming together. And then a whole third verse about the goddamn Hadron Collider, the super whatever. I'm not a physicist, okay? Feel free to tell me in the comments what it all means. I could just say that it's all about a super collider. My father, rest in peace, had a huge problem with the super collider and was positive they were all just making huge mistakes. I was not expert enough to tell him how wrong he was. Just a light in the tunnel and whatever gets scattered, life flashing before the eyes of whatever comes after. The force of our impact, the fission, the hum of our contact, the sound of our collisions. More of this cosmic sense of our relative unimportance, but also the importance of our relative unimportance. This one's a little bit less there's less instruments on this one. It's mostly just sounds and like these sounds behind the voice with the guitar up until the very end where we have this beautiful horn bit. It's like saying goodbye to this whole project. I sort of had this image of like the 3 of them getting onto a boat and just floating out into the ocean for unknown shores, echoed by the fudgy chords. So the horns play and then the chords and then the guitar plays, and it's just beautiful. So there's my review. There's my review of the 3 songs, my 18-minute review of 12 minutes of music. It's great. They're wonderful. I hope they stay together. No, I hope they all make solo albums and then come back together again. I hope they continue to be the Wu-Tang Clan of indie rock. I regret saying that. It's really silly. All right, till next time. There's the camera.